Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 as we now inch closer to NFL Week 16. The Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the Washington Commanders, an NFC East opponent. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Thursday morning, brother?
Doing well. Trying to get through week to Christmas. Week 16.
Yeah, man.
NFC East about to be captured, perhaps. Even if it's not, it's coming at some point. And number one seed talk. 12-2 Eagles. Always relevant. People shouldn't take that for granted this holiday season.
Certainly,
seems like they're always relevant.
And certainly winning a lot of football games with this regime, whether you love them or you hate them or you like them or you don't. They win a lot, and that's a good thing to have, especially as an Eagles fan, because it's not always like that. So good stuff there. We'll dive into this Week 16 game today. I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button. This morning, we've had a lot of great stuff going on the channel this week. We're all in the Christmas spirit, or at least I am in the Christmas spirit. And we did another giveaway yesterday on the show. And yesterday, John, I'll show you this. I met with our great viewer. I had tea like Jalen.
Whoa,
Brandon.
Like Jalen. Yeah. Everybody coming over for tea.
Jason A-Team, and I gave him his giveaway, and I think Jason's in the chat. So big shout out to Jason A-Team. Anybody that's close by, I will hand deliver your giveaways, but not everybody is close by.
No.
But that was a lot of fun. It was cool meeting the viewer, Johnny Mac. You know how I like.
We got listeners in Europe. Yeah. So,
yeah, but we got listeners.
I don't think you can hand deliver those.
No, we had one guy comment. He's like, I live in Bali, Indonesia. Do you think you can hand deliver? I said, I don't think I can make that one happen. But if you're around the city, I'll do it. So that was a lot of fun. Jason 18, appreciate it, brother. And that's been a lot of fun to do this week. Johnny Mac, let's dive into what the latest Eagles news. You were down there at practice yesterday. Start with that. Big rest day yesterday for the Birds, and then obviously the Bryce Huff news. Bryce Huff has been activated, or at least put on the 21 day window.
They opened his practice window. So
So
good news there is not necessarily he'll be back this week, but it's pretty clear he's going to be back for the postseason, and that's a bigger thing. I know everybody's disappointed in Bryce Huff, but and what he was before he got injured compared to what he was supposed to be. But man, going with the 3-man rotation on the edge was going to be difficult each and every week. Especially when you talk about, like last week, they had 43 defensive snaps, and that helps out a lot. But you can't count on that every week, even as well as the Eagles defense is playing. That's a really low number. So if you get into a game where you're playing 60, 70, 80 snaps, you really want that fourth guy. And Bryce Huff can slot in, and he'll be above Jalix Hunt. I think Nolan Smith has done enough to keep the starting job.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Nolan Smith has really come on as a player since Bryce Huff went down. And I don't say this to criticize Bryce Huff. It's obviously good to get a body back, but I don't know if it's a good idea, John, to limit Nolan Smith because of this.
Now, I don't think they will. They have a built-in excuse. You know, as I said, he's still got a cast on from his wrist surgery, so they got a built-in excuse. And I think they'll keep it status quo with Nolan as far as being the starter. But I think it's important, and I bring up, you know, Huff's snaps weren't that bad. It's just the expectations measured against the expectations. And they didn't trade him for Hassan Reddick, but he was brought in, make no mistake, to be the centerpiece of this pass rush. The centerpiece, and he's not. He's not even close to that.
Well, break that down for me. What do you mean the snaps weren't that bad? Is it pass rush win rate? Pressure percentage? What are you looking at that? Because listen, I don't profess to be the knower of all things defensive end in the NFL, but I didn't see him create much pressure or do anything exceptionally well in any area of the game.
Well, I don't think he did anything exceptionally well, but I think he was competent. And that's not what the Eagles wanted. I'm not trying to. Again, that's what confuses things. Like if this guy was an undrafted free agent, that's how I phrase it, which he was originally. But I mean, an undrafted free agent coming in, you'd say, "Oh, this guy's helping. This guy's helping as part of the rotation." That's what I'm saying. That's not. I'm not
I
trying
got you.
that's acceptable. I'm not saying that's what they wanted. That's what they thought they were getting. They thought they were getting a double-digit sack pass rusher. That's what they thought. So measured against those expectations, it's a failure. But we're past those expectations when it comes to the Eagles, and now it's about winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
And to get a competent piece back in the rotation, I think is a positive thing. And if you look at again, we cite PFF. Some people like it, some people don't like it. They got I think 116 guys who played enough to be ranked on the edge this year. He's 44th. He's 44th.
Not bad.
I mean, if you look, that's what I'm saying. If you look at his snaps, snap to snap, it's just competent. Not, they expected much more. So for the people that can put those two things aside,
Right.
say,
forget that now. We're in a different mode where we're going for a Super Bowl.
So he can help. And I think that was the whole goal of the Eagles. As he was trying to fight through the injury, they said, all right, he's so limited. Let's get the surgery. Maybe he'll be able to be back and healthier and use his hand a little bit more and can help this rotation. And I mean, I think it's a big deal that he's back. I really do, from that perspective. Because Alex Hunt was not setting the world on fire. He was doing okay, but
I think he was in the book of competent, or in the basket of competency.
He'll be if Bryce Huff is healthy, he'll go above Alex Hunt right away.
That's what I was thinking. Do you think Nolan Smith has taken that top?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think he has too. Okay. So you're thinking Nolan Smith, then Bryce Huff instead of Nolan Smith and Alex Hunt.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be, and if you're going to look at it like that, starters are Josh and Nolan Smith, then Bryce is number 3, then Alex Hunt would be number 4. And Alex will still play because that's the whole point. You want the 4th guy, but I think Bryce Huff can be helpful for this defense and make them better.
Yeah,
I guess the disappointment.
I guess right now it's not the right time, admittedly, to look ahead. But the reason I like Alex and Nolan being on the field is I don't know what the Eagles organization right now feels about Bryce Huff. I don't know how easy it is or how willing they would be to move on from that contract quicker than expected. But
they can do both. They can run him. Alex is a rookie. They got him for 4 years.
That's what I mean. So him getting time is developing him and making your defense better for longer.
That's a 6-win team talk. This team's trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree.
This is, go win a Super Bowl, then have those difficult discussions in the offseason, and you still got Alex Hunt around here. Plenty of time to develop. That was the whole plan to begin with.
Player, Alex.
Yeah, there's a good chance. He's got a lot of upside. But right now, he's probably not ready, and he's thrown into the deep end of the pool. And,
right.
There's no hurry, and he's going to play.
Has Hunt exceeded what you were expecting of him, or what?
Well, I didn't think he was going to play at all. So, I mean, he's playing, and he doesn't look overwhelmed. So that's all a positive,
right?
But so from that standpoint, I didn't expect him to play at all. Sort of the pseudo redshirt season, and that's the way it was going until 2 injuries. Remember, it's not just Bryce Huff; then it was Brandon Graham. So if those guys are healthy, he's just a special teams guy, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. That was the original plan. That should have been the original plan. But now that he's been thrown into the deep end of the pool, he's shown, he's not overwhelmed, and that's all you can ask for a third round pick that was a bit of a developmental prospect.
Good stuff there. So we'll get Bryce Huff back. John, with the 21-day window being open, explain that to me. Is that he can come back at any time? Is that it's going to be 21 days? Like when can we expect to see Bryce Huff in a game, do you think?
No, they have 21 days from yesterday to put him on the 53-man roster, or then if not, he goes back to injured reserve and he's out for the season. So they have 21 days to make the decision. Is he ready to help? Is he ready to play? If he's ready to play and has a good practice, they can activate him at any time.
Okay.
He can play this weekend. And clearly they're going to activate him. It's just a matter of when. My guess is they're going to activate him this weekend, but it'll depend on practice and how he looks, because as I said, he still has a cast on his arm. So you got to see how he handles it, how much he can help. Is he ready? All that kind of stuff. But they didn't activate his practice window to not put him back on the 53-man roster.
Right. I mean, it's December 19th, so the 21-day window would basically end at the end of the season, I think, right? I mean, I don't know when our last game is this year. Was it January 6th or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Somewhere in that range.
So it's December 18th. 13th would be 13. January 8th would be the last day they could activate him, and they will. Barring a setback, he's going to be back at some point.
Right.
I would bet on this weekend, to be honest.
Yeah, so we'll see. Overall positive thing, and I think Johnny Mac said it well. We're no longer looking for a $17 million edge rusher out of Bryce Huff, as much as that would have been nice to get. We are moving on to Super Bowl aspirations, and we added a competent body back to the rotation at a very thin position of need. So it's good that the Eagles got him back. John, you were down at NovaCare Complex yesterday, a big rest day for a lot of starters. Anything else stick out to you worth knowing, telling the people about with the practice, players, anything? And then we'll get into the press conferences, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. But just your thoughts on anything that stuck out to you yesterday at practice.
Well, I think the eyes were on Landon Dickerson, who got hurt in the game, had to come out, replaced by Tyler Steen. A.J. Brown a little bit because he took that hip drop tackle. Some people will see if they called a hip drop tackle on Saturday. Looked like he banged up his ankle a little bit, so that's always a concern. And Saquon Barkley, because he was obviously dealing with something. So those were the players to really focus on, and all of them were out there. Big rest day. The Eagles have scaled back to their Wednesday walkthroughs. They do this every year at the end of the season. It took a little bit longer this year because of Big Fangio, to be honest. But they're in the Wednesday walkthrough mode. So, basically the entire offensive line got a rest day. All the skill position players, AJ, DeMonte, Saquon. Interestingly, the defense, because of Big, they don't get rest days. Now they're much younger.
Mm-hmm. Even is Slay getting rest days?
He has in the past. He didn't yesterday, which is interesting. There's a few guys. Josh Sweat has gotten them in the past. He didn't yesterday. So it's interesting from that standpoint, just the dichotomy of offense versus defense. But the only guys they of the resting players that also had injury designations were Landon Dickerson with the knee, and Devontae Smith, who's dealing with a bit of a back injury. So that's something we have to keep an eye on today, whether they'll be limited, how close it is. And then Britton Covey should be back this week. He was a full practice. Again, these are all estimations because it was walkthrough. Jalen Hurts with his finger. And with Barkley, they didn't give him an injury designation. So that's a positive. Just rest. But, as I always go back, we talked about Kirk Cousins earlier this week. I think people don't understand. Like a lot of times, like if people watch that show, and I know you did, Zander, Kirk Cousins was never on the injury report that
I
year.
know.
Never.
That's why
Because
when I see people tweet that Kirk Cousins is robbing teams, I'm like, well, he maybe didn't live up to his contract. I don't think he's robbing teams. He's actually out there playing games.
no, but yeah, but I didn't bring it up for that. I brought
I
it
know.
up for the fact that people assume if there's no injury designation, you're fine.
Right.
Like he's banged up. But a lot of players don't want that listed because they don't want the other team aware of it. They don't want the other team focusing on it, guys trying to hit it, things like that. In the case of Landon, obviously he left the game, so you have to be a little bit more clear cut. So, you know, there's a lot of guys fighting through things at this stage of the season, which is why the Eagles kind of scale back to walkthroughs. And as long as you're going to be a full participant in practice, you don't have to list an injury. And so yesterday in the estimated walkthrough, Saquon didn't participate, but it was listed as rest. So we'll see today what
Are you allowed to list rest as many times as you want?
Yeah.
So you don't really have to list an injury. You can miss practice and just list rest if you really wanted, right?
Well, you're not going to rest the guy 3 straight days. So
okay, right. So you're
like,
saying
that's why I bring up Cousins. It's like, you can't list him as rest, and then play him. That's not going to fly. But you can manipulate it,
right?
On a walkthrough day like this.
Yeah, got to keep it within reason.
So Saquon is going to practice today, and if he's limited, they're probably going to have to list something. But if he practices fully, which he probably will, because he doesn't do much at practice, that's how they manipulate it.
Right.
So that's sort of the inner workings of the injury reports.
Speaking of Saquon, John, I guess I'm going to ask you to speculate here. I'm assuming you haven't been given any more information. What would you speculate that was in the game? I'm not saying it was anything big or anything, but I thought it was a little odd just the way the whole thing played out, where he was playing in the third and fourth quarter, but he missed the entire second quarter. It looked like he was kind of like loosening up his leg on the sideline at times. Like, was there something there? Was he injured? Was he not injured? Like, or was it just a little nag? Looked like he got popped to the knee from that.
It was definitely the right leg. And, he spoke yesterday, and he, downplayed it. It's just, you play running back in the NFL, you're going to get popped.
Right.
And you're anybody who thinks any running back in this league isn't banged up, any lead running back who's healthy, and I put that in quotations, and he was banged up and he needed some time to get it right and was able to get back in the game. It happens all the time. But he was dealing with something because he was visibly for a long period of time trying to loosen up that right leg. And he downplayed it yesterday because he's going to play. And like I said, you don't want to give any, from a football player standpoint. Now everybody's watching film. The Commanders know exactly what he was dealing with because they see him trying to loosen it up just like we saw it. But it's just part of it, playing, especially that position. Like Kobe played with a big Bryce on his right arm. I mean, he's not on the injury report. He doesn't wear a big brace on his right arm typically.
He was really good versus
Steelers. And he was great. These guys fight through a lot. I think people don't realize that sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. Eagles all day. I think he just checked in. You did speak on Dickerson, but just real quick, the update, because I think he's obviously the big name that people were concerned about. Just give the update real quick one more time, John, on Landon.
Yeah, he was out there. He didn't practice. And again, it was a walkthrough, so he was resting. But they rested the entire starting offensive line. All 5 were estimated as did not practice. Landon was listed as rest /knee. So he's dealing with a knee injury. is actually another guy. He's been dealing with that since training camp, to be honest. Tough guy, fights through it. He's out there. He's going to play. It is something to keep an eye on, though, because it's been one of those things where he gets banged up and he might have to leave for a time, and sometimes he comes back in. But yeah, I would expect Landon to play. But today will be a big day, and if he's limited, that's still a good sign. I expect him to be limited as long as he's practicing in some form. I think it's pretty comfortable to say that he's going to be out there.
Yeah, it's always a good day to thank Jeff Stoutland, John. Think about this. I had somebody on the post game show, one of our great viewers, come on with me, and they're like, we had 3 offensive linemen go down today. They weren't down obviously for the full game or anything, but three moments in the game where you had to replace an offensive lineman. I don't think there's any other team in the league that could have handled it like the Eagles do, where you almost didn't miss a beat. Now, you obviously didn't get the all-pro level play, but you almost didn't miss a beat where you look at a team like the Niners, they lose Trent Williams, their entire offensive game plan goes to shit, and it's pretty crazy how good the Eagles offensive line, not only the front unit is, but really, I mean, it seems like our backups are even good at this point. I mean, they're not great, but Fred Johnson's a solid backup. Tyler Steen is solid. In the middle, it's impressive what the Eagles offensive line and what Jeff Stoutland has done with that team, with that unit.
Yes and no. I think they do a better bet, but there's a tremendous drop off. I mean, there is a tremendous drop off.
Well, can we blame them? We got 5 Pro Bowlers on the
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, like there is a tremendous drop off from Lane to Fred Johnson, even though Fred has done a nice job. And as a backup, you're right. Very few teams have 5 good starters. So very few teams have competent backups. But, the history of this team without Lane Johnson is not good on the field. Tyler Steen for Landon Dickerson wasn't great last week, to be honest. So that starting 5 is off the charts.
Yeah.
The backups, Jack played 1 play, Jack Driscoll.
Yeah, he didn't come in long.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get too hyped. You don't want those guys out there. Right?
I still love Jeff Stoutland. John Forte checks in. Appreciate you, John. We'll do a Q&A today, guys. We have no guest in hour number 2, so we're going to dive deep into this Eagles-Commanders preview. I think our toughest game left of the year, obviously, with the Cowboys and the Giants on the horizon. Cowboys, you don't want to go to sleep on them. You don't want to let them get the win there, but I think this is our toughest game. So we'll dive deep into that, and then we'll do a Q&A. I'll take some of your guys' super chats. And we'll talk to John about them. John Forte, who says he's new to the channel. John, awesome, man. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we appreciate you watching. We got the morning show, John, 8 to 10 a.m., Johnny Mack and myself. John's an Eagles reporter, number 1 Eagles beat reporter, and then we have the afternoon show with Big Sills, Dan Silly, the National Football Show from 2 to 6. So appreciate you being here on the channel, my friend. He says, all this Eagles Super Bowl talk is getting me worried. Call me superstitious. Let's concentrate on the 1 seed and the bye. Great picks, new to the channel.
Yeah, I'm not superstitious, John. So I don't believe in things that aren't believable. So but that stuff doesn't from the Eagles standpoint. Look, Nick is very focused on week by week, almost to a fault sometimes. So the Eagles won't do it. You don't have to worry about them. They're worried about going 1-0 this week. They're not necessarily worried about the 1 seed. Now, again, there's human nature. Zach Bond, talked to him yesterday. He talked about it a little bit. But, he's got the right mindset of he won a division title as a rookie in New Orleans. And he was asked about winning a division title. And he's like, it's cool. You get a T-shirt and a hat, and then you go to the next one, the next milestone. So they have the right mindset. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl on this team because that's the goal of this team, on this show, because that's the goal of this team. And no matter what I say, if they're going to make the Super Bowl, if they're not going to make the Super Bowl, that's not going to affect the result. So I'm not a superstition guy.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling a parade in Philly this year. We will see how it all plays out. Daz checked in. You like the Grinch? Sills Grinch, John. You can see his
What
profile.
is still saying the Eagles stink? I don't
Well,
know.
no, I guess
I'm
I've
I'm
just been
I'm at
messing
the
with Twitter.
NovaCare complex during this show, so I
I've
can't.
I've just been messing with him all week about calling him the Grinch, and it looks like Dad. If you look at his profile picture, what is that, Dad? Is that Grok AI, Daz, that made that picture of Cilio as the Grinch? That's pretty funny stuff. And we gave out a Grinch hoodie because of Sills being the Grinch, so that was a lot of fun to do yesterday. Daz, appreciate that. Appreciate everybody. John, let's dive into this Eagles Commanders game this weekend. How do you see it right now? Commanders are, they started off the year real hot. I think they're still playing pretty good football, but they're not. I don't view them as there yet. You know how I kind of view the Commanders, John? I kind of view them as a 2021 Eagles, if that makes sense, where the quarterback came in and obviously changed where they were at, but they're not quite ready to compete with the alpha dogs of the NFL yet. I don't know if that's a good comp. It's a good comp in my head, but how do you see them right now?
Yeah, they're a good team, not a great team. They took a step up. I think you're right in the fact that you probably got to worry about them more next year than this year. And if you look at the history of the NFC East, what are we at 20 consecutive years? You haven't had back-to-back champions. So the Eagles are going to win the NFC East. That means they probably aren't going to win it next year. And if history holds,
Yeah,
the
how many years
team
is it? Wait, 21, 20?
21, I think. Yeah.
21 years. Whew.
So 20 or 21, but so if history holds, somebody else is going to win it, and that's probably going to be Washington. That's sort of how this league works. You have to learn, you have to go through it, you have to get there. I think they're going to be able to be a playoff team, but even that's iffy. They got to finish strongly to make the playoffs. And that'll be a positive for them, whether they're one and done or not, to go through that. So yeah, they're a good team, but not a great team. And certainly they started the practice window of Jonathan Allen, which is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah,
So
man.
I don't know where he is, if he's close, because he hasn't played for a long time. But obviously that would be a big bolster for them on the defensive front. They do have Marcus Lattimore back finally after they traded for him. So
Marcus, I thought it was Marshawn. Isn't it Marshawn?
Marshawn, I
Yeah.
always call him Marcus.
Yeah,
There's
you're good.
yeah, Marshawn's back, and their rookie corner's very good. Quinion. I was talking to Quinion yesterday. The rookie corners he's in this class have been really good,
Yeah.
really good, and you don't see that often. And Quinion was talking about he got close to basically everybody. His whole class, he loves the
Does that
class.
have anything to do with college? They just throw the ball around all
Yeah, I
freaking
think
day?
it does. I mean,
These
yeah,
corners got to run
yeah,
so damn much in college.
yeah. I think it does. It's like we all talk about quarterbacks and how they've regressed at the college level, but the receivers, and I talked about it even with Samaje Beals, who's a local high school product from Roman Catholic. I got to see him play. Boy, man, he's advanced from a standpoint of where you used to be. And I was talking to somebody about it. All they do in the offseason is play 7-on-7. So it's tough to,
Right.
it's tough to develop offensive, defensive linemen, but the wide receivers and corners are getting better and better and better because that's all they do through the entire offseason. So anyway, Mike Sandristil, it's such a weird name, but
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce. He had a pretty
yeah,
good game last time we played them too. He's impressive. He's a good player.
he's a very good rookie corner, and Lattimore's tremendous. Um, so they're getting better a little bit from that standpoint. And then just the nature of playing the team a second time, and it's on the road this time, and it's a good team. It's if you're not on your P's and Q's this week, you can look at it. If you played like you did against Carolina, you're going to be probably in trouble. If you played like you did against Pittsburgh, you're probably fine. That's sort of where we are with the Eagles.
Yeah, so we got a good. The game is what, 1 o'clock this weekend, right? Yeah, 1 o'clock matchup, not Northwest Stadium, Johnny Mac. So you'll be going down to Northwest
Ugh.
Stadium in
You can
Landover.
call it something new. Worst trip of the year every year.
Yeah, I know.
Just a disaster area. Camp Josh Harris, get that new stadium built, buddy. I don't like as a
Now they're
Sixers
trying to
owner.
pass it through Congress, and now they're fighting about it in Congress right now about getting the funding from them. So who knows about all that shit. For those who like the commentators, I'll give you the update on them. Joe Davis is on the call. He's one of my favorite commentators in all of sports right now. He does an amazing job on the NFL and the MLB. So he does the World Series, just tremendous. And Greg Olson, who's really good. So it'll be good to get the commentary from those guys. John, Commanders 9-5. They started 7-2, so they slowed a little bit. They're 2-2 against the NFC East this season, and they're trying to come in here or not come in here. We're going there, and knock off the Philadelphia Eagles. What are the keys for them to try and do that against a team that I think is far and away better than they are?
Well, it starts with the running game. Very close. If you look at the first game, I mean, they did what they needed to do basically for most of the game, to be honest, and weren't able to sustain it. And that was a fourth quarter sort of Saquon game. But you saw, I mean, they did a very good job in the run game. Now, Jaden Daniels has got to play better. I don't think he had a really bad game early in the season. I forget. It might have been against Tampa. I forget who it was against, but he had a really bad game early in the season. And that was probably his second worst game against the Eagles. He was not good. And I like Vic against young quarterbacks. I say that all the time. I'll take Vic Fangio against a young quarterback. I think that's advantage Eagles, but he almost has to play a little bit better. And, when plays are there, he needs to make them. But I thought you saw the formula. I thought they executed their formula pretty well in the first game between the two teams, and they just weren't able to sustain it for 4 quarters. So they got to get, those 5 yards, 6, 7 yards, similar to Chuba Hubbard a couple weeks ago as well. Because Brian Robinson he's a good back, but he isn't the most explosive back in the world. So very limited margin of error, what I always talk about, but they have to play a certain way. And they were playing, like, to their credit, they were playing that certain way in the first game. If people remember, it was, kind of iffy. Wasn't that was, I guess, week 11, somewhere around there. The first game that was at Lincoln Financial Field, and
week 11? I thought that was earlier.
No, it was week 11.
You're right. Yeah, because
and remember, they took the lead into the fourth quarter. They were winning the football game for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Now it was very low scoring. Maybe 10-3, a 10-6, whatever it was. And then Saquon kind of broke out with the 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I still remember the great Cam Jurgens block. And then Jordan Mailata was like...
That was a Jason Kelsey-esque block by Jurgens.
So it was like a 39-yard touchdown, a 23-yard touchdown. And that was under 5 minutes left in the game when it kind of fell apart. So that's exactly what they have to do, but they just have to sustain it for 4 quarters. And that's easier said than done.
John, Eagles offensively coming into this game. I'll talk about the Commanders offense in a second. They're pretty good. They're a pretty good offense. They're 5th in the NFL. Eagles are 6th in the NFL. And their passing offense is much higher rated than ours at 16th in the NFL. But their defense, John, looking at their defense, excellent pass defense, 4th in the NFL. They're giving up 189 yards per game, but their rushing defense, they're down at 25th in the NFL. Is this a simple game where you feed the ball to Saquon and you work to the passing game in as a secondary, or do you view it more as are they going to come out slinging it like they did versus Steelers?
Yeah, I mean, it's boring. I feel like Nick is said that at his press conferences maybe 3 or 4 consecutive times when he talks about focusing on 1 week at a time. I feel like the same way when you ask me this question. What's working, basically?
Right. Exactly.
And that's exactly what happened in the first game between the two teams. So, but they did want to get the passing game going against Pittsburgh, no matter what they say. That was the focus of the week. And they did get it going. And I hope they learned certain things. One of them, most notably, is tempo. They use those empty sets to get Jalen Hurts into a rhythm. And Jalen himself described that rhythm. Do it again, but we'll see. You know, playing on the road, even though traditionally Eagles fans will take over FedEx Field or Northwest Stadium, whatever we want to call that dump. I remember Nick Piero.
Northwest. Is that what I said it was? Northwest?
Northwest, yeah. Our old buddy Nick Piero once got suspended for calling it a toilet bowl. I have no problem calling it a toilet bowl.
Suspended? What do you mean? Who suspended him? They suspended his
the Allentown Morning Call suspended him. Yeah, so
what the hell?
Yeah, it's a dump.
I now have a bone to pick with the Allentown Morning Call.
Anybody who doesn't think it is a dump has never been there, and there's no reason you have to pretend it isn't. Sewage would drop on the fans.
I know. This is the stadium that almost collapsed on Hurts too, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It is a absolute abject disaster of a stadium. So
I'm honestly surprised the NFL has let it go that long. I mean, you literally almost had a star quarterback taken down by a falling. Yeah,
and then we came back because that was a big deal, obviously.
Yeah,
and when we come back next year, and that their fix was they had a couple ropes around it,
a couple zip ties. Oh, yeah. Great! Thank you, Washington.
Yeah. So yeah, I have no problem calling it what it is, but they're better, obviously, Washington. So the fans are more excited. Maybe it'll be more representative. I can't imagine that there won't be a lot of Eagles fans there though. And they're banged up. That's of all the things, and the Eagles are very good. Obviously, number 1 defense, number 6 offense, as you mentioned. They're obviously very good, very talented. They're also very healthy compared to everybody else. And that's the same thing with Washington. Much longer injury reports coming into the week. Sam Cosmi was sick, so I think he's going to play. He didn't practice. Zach Ertz is in the concussion protocol. So we'll see if their kicker's hurt. I don't know who's going to kick for him. We have to see that. They started the practice window, as I said, on Jonathan Allen. I don't know if he's going to play. Jeremy Chin's in the concussion protocol. Frankie Luvu was a rest guy, so he'll be fine. He's a very good player. Luke McCaffrey was limited. He's sort of their third receiver. Deron Payne was limited. He's their other good interior player with Jonathan Allen. Dante Fowler's one of the better pass rushers. He's dealing with a groin, so they got a bunch more injuries than the Eagles do.
Yeah, they did get that. They get Lattimore back, so he wasn't in the. They just traded for him, I think, when we.
Yeah, trade deadline.
Yeah, just traded for him at the deadline, so he didn't play in our first matchup, so he'll be back out there. But I don't know, John. We got AJ Brown. I'm not really worried about Marshawn Lattimore.
No, he's a very good player, though. I mean.
Yeah, is there any area of the team where you think that the Commanders are better than the Philadelphia Eagles? Because right now I'm having a hard time. QB, no. Running back, no. Wide receivers, no. Offensive line, no. Defensive line, no. Linebackers, no. Cornerbacks, no. Coaching, no. I'm not a Dan Quinn guy. Who's their tight end? They got a solid tight end. They got Ertz and
John Bates. Yeah, they're probably better. They're probably, if Zach can play, they're probably better right now, but they're not better if the Eagles have Goddard, but they don't have Goddard. Boy, should I upset the people?
Yeah,
I mean,
you should.
linebacker, they're
Give it to us straight. Tell us how it is.
linebacker, they're very good. That yeah, I would rate that as even, but
Yeah,
that's a surprise that it's even from the Eagles standpoint because Wagner and Lubu are really freaking good. And we didn't expect the Eagles linebackers to be this good, but they've been so good. I'd say it's a push. That's their strongest position, no doubt. I mean,
Zach
if you want to, if you want to,
PFF though, Zach Bond graded out second in the NFL above Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, well, I mean, Zach is an All-Pro. I'm going to vote for Zach to be an All-Pro.
Do you have an All-Pro vote?
Well, PFWA, not AP, but I'm going to vote for him to be an All-Pro. But I mean, you just use PFF. I mean, if you're going to be real about this, like their quarterbacks had a better season than the Eagles quarterback. I don't care. I don't care if he's a rookie. He's had a better season. That's the reality of it. Now, Vic Fangio stopped him. So in this particular game, I have a lot of confidence, as I said, in Vic Fangio against any young quarterback, the best, the worst, and he's the best of the young quarterbacks. But if you're being real, he's had a better fucking season. I mean, you want to use PFF grades, look at those PFF grades. Look at that quarterback versus this quarterback. So you're going to use that for Zach Bond. You got to be real about it. You know,
I have a hard time going there, but I mean, listen, I want to be objective and real. Is it statistic based? Like, I don't know. Cause I have been, I think I've tried to be fair on Jalen Hurts, where when I don't think he exceeds expectations or I don't think he plays up to the standard, as they call it, I call him out for it. When he does, I give him his props for it. At least I try to. Jalen Hurts just keeps winning. And I guess that's not the best way to gauge a quarterback, but he does have pretty good. I mean, the numbers don't jump off the page because that's not the style of player he is, but.
Well, PFF is not based on numbers. It's based on efficiency from play to play.
What is it? Let me look at the PFF grades.
Yeah, you don't want to look.
Let me check them out. All right, let me check them out here. Let me do the minimum dropbacks. You got to be all right. Top 50 here. All right, Lamar 1, Joe Burrow 2, Josh Allen 3. That makes a whole lot of sense. Herbert 4, Jaden Daniels is 5. Wow. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is down there. We're at 18. Yeah, so Jaden Daniels getting a much higher grading for the people who like.
I mean, if you want to be real about it, if you don't want to be real about it,
being real about it. I don't have a problem with the way Hurts is playing, so it doesn't mean that much to me. But I think it's fair to talk about and at least notify the people. The point is to make the people more educated and to know what we're talking about. So I don't think it's a bad thing to acknowledge it.
Again, individual games are about styles. Styles make fights. You know, I don't like Jaden Daniels against Vic Fangio. So I'm not that concerned about it. I'm just saying, but if you're being real over a large sample size, which is now at 14 games, one quarterback has had a better season than the other, and that quarterback ain't on Philadelphia's team. Because we were talking about, is there any place the Commanders have been better? And I'm simply pointing that out because she said, well, Zach Bond's technically ahead of Bobby Wagner, who I think Bobby Wagner's 4th at linebacker. And you're right. But if you're going to use that PFF grade to validate Zach Bond, well, there's a pretty large difference between where Jaden Daniels is and Jalen Hurts is. There ain't a large difference between Zach Bond and Bobby Wagner. All I'm trying to say, trying to keep it real.
People don't like it, John. People don't.
I know they don't like it.
People don't want to hear it.
I know they don't want to hear it, but they don't want to hear. They don't want to be. A lot of people, not all people. A lot of people like being told the truth. A lot of people don't. You know. When you talk about winning, that's the greatest asset of Jalen Hurts. I talk about it all the time. I'm the one who talks about it, I would gather, more than anybody else, because he's the rare type of player that can play poorly and still pull the horseshoe out in the fourth quarter, which is very rare. And that is a trait that I love with that particular quarterback. But Jaden Daniels has been really freaking good. And if you want to talk about winning and you want to talk about where Washington was before Jaden Daniels and where Washington is now with Jaden Daniels, and you don't see the difference, I can't help you.
We're going to turn him to a pumpkin on Sunday, John.
Already did once.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I have no reason to.
But that doesn't dismiss what he's done in the other games.
Yeah, well, he's certainly. I mean, he's going to win Rookie of the Year most likely, right? Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought for a second if Bo Nix kept winning.
Bo Nix has played very well.
Yeah,
it looks like Denver's going to make the playoffs, which is to me the biggest surprise playoff team. He deserves credit way better than Caleb Williams. Boy, Chicago.
Does Caleb Williams suck? I can't tell. I really can't tell. I can't.
Well, I don't think the organization helps him.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he sucks or if Chicago's just.
No, he doesn't suck from a talent standpoint. Clearly, he's got unbelievable talent. But yeah, he's not a good quarterback right now, and he's not being helped by the organization. And he's not the, if you've seen Emmanuel Acho, which I think is a little bit unfair, but there is something to playing you see how Jalen Hurts, you're not going to see Jalen Hurts. I saw him break his freaking collarbone and he went and finished the game. He's not going to sit on the sidelines and bend over in pain. And, he's just not going to do it.
Right.
There is something to the body language thing. But, I think Acho was a little bit unfair to Caleb Williams, but I love Kevin O'Connell's quote. I've been saying it all week. Organizations fail young quarterbacks more than young quarterbacks fail organizations. I agree with that.
We'll see how it plays out. I'm going to get to our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue to break down this game, some of the other keys to the game. That Commanders offense is humming pretty good. John just gave you some numbers on Jaden Daniels. He is having a nice season, and their total offense is 5th in the NFL. Scoring offense, they're 6th in the NFL. Rushing offense, they're 3rd in the NFL. So passing offense 16. So they are having a nice season offensively for sure. But we got the number 1 defense in the NFL, so that's going to be a good matchup. Seth Schiffley checks in. Appreciate it, guys. We'll take all super chats today. We got no guest in hour number 2 today, so just hit that like button for me. Any super chats that come, we will take your questions, and we'll take some other questions as well in hour number 2. Appreciate all of you guys. And, John, I've given away something Monday this week, Tuesday this week, and Wednesday this week. I got another one of those Fly Saquon Fly shirts. If the people get me some members today, maybe I'll make the same deal with our viewers today. If I can get 7 new members today, I will launch another giveaway. All right.
Where's our buddy James Carver? Is he healthy? Because
James Carver is the man, but I talked to him recently. He has surgery on his legs a lot. And James, I hope you're listening. He says he can't really check in or talk in the live chat as much anymore, but he is an avid listener, and he has major knee problems, I think stemming from some sort of accident a while ago. We're talking about 10 plus years.
Oh, I feel your pain, James. I hope you're doing well. I've had 6 knee surgeries. It ain't fun. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah. So we hope you're doing well. Happy holidays to James Carver.
Yeah. I don't have any knee issues yet, but I've never seen my dad a day in his life not work. My dad got double knee replacements. I've never seen him in so much pain.
Yeah. I have never seen him. Don't do the double. Don't do it.
Well, my dad, he's on a bad knee for 10 years. And then the doctor's like, dude, you better get this replaced. You got nothing left in the knee. And then
Doctors have been telling me to get my knee replaced for years. And I'm like, my wife got her knee replaced. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'll take the pain. Yeah.
Look at this. Terry drops in, John. See, this is it. When the people show the love, I'm showing it right back to them. Terry Hayes gives 10 memberships, which, as I said yesterday, is a little bit of a hack around the system, but I can't knock it. Dank Bird Gang gifts 1. Thank you, guys. That's 11 members today. I will do a giveaway.
Gaming the system. I like the gaming of the system.
Listen, the system is available to be gamed. So just like the Eagles will game the system with the injury report.
Got to win outside the margins, guys.
Exactly, baby. So the people are winning outside the margins. Pretty good stuff. I have to let me see if it should tell me, okay, who the gifted members are. I'll look who the gifted members are, and stay tuned, everybody, for Zander time, as we call it, after hours here on Birds 365. I will do a giveaway today of another shirt and hat. So Abe won yesterday, Jason A-Team won on Tuesday, and shoot, what was the guys who won the Jalen Hurts authentic Kelly Green jersey? I'm blanking on his name right now. But that's who won Monday. So we'll have another giveaway today. Good stuff. Let's get to our commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about that Commanders offense, the Eagles defense, which is the best in the NFL, and it is the measuring stick for any other offense right now to go up against this defense. So we'll talk about that coming up next here on Birds 365. Appreciate all of our great viewers. Hit that like button. Before we get to the break, I do want to tell you guys about the great people at BetUS, our great sponsor, and we thank them for sponsoring the 2-hour show today. So go check them out, betus.com.pa. You can see the promo code on your screen. It's YouTube 150. It gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit. So go check them out. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, 24/7 customer support, and they'll even give you your own custom account manager. So go check out betus.com. That's betus.com.pa, and use that promo code YouTube 150. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody, on Birds 365.